Welcome to the Lights in the Night Show with Russell Johnson, who wants to talk about and reveal what the United States government doesn't want you to know about UFOs and aliens right here in this country and around the globe. Russell has been following this material for over 50 years, and we'll have guests who will tell their stories from around the world. Take down the number to call in, 888-565-1470, because Russell wants to hear your story. Our show also invites you to send your pictures and videos to UFO@amp2.tv so we can show them on our program at lightsinthenight.tv. Now, let's get to the Lights in the Night subject matter and hear what the government has tried to keep quiet for over 50 years. Again, get ready to call 888-565-1470 and watch on lightsinthenight.tv. Now, here's Russell with today's show.
Guys,
Okay. Hi, welcome back to lightsinthenight.tv. Welcome again to the show. Hey, this is the beginning of something great because we'll be doing this for an hour each and every Wednesday evening from now on. And we will have some serious information and some great guests on the program. So we have Jessica. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And Lady
Christopher. Hi, everyone.
Lady
Great to be back, as always.
Right. Great.
Haven't been taken yet by Hollow Earth, so
No?
I'm here. No.
Okay.
I'm still outside trying to connect telepathically.
Well, I don't know whether they'll let you in or not.
I have no malice thoughts. I have a harmonious heart
Okay.
and no weapons. That was the checklist.
That was a checklist. Maybe another 2 or 3 small provisos. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of Hollow Earth, they will be with us for an hour, September 2nd.
Yes.
For a whole hour, and he's going to talk about some real serious issues. Billy, are you there to talk about what you will be talking about on September 2nd? Are you there?
Russell, it's Jane.
Jane,
Hi, Jane.
Praise
Hi,
on.
Jane.
Hi, everyone. No, Billy is not here presently, but I can tell you what we're going to be talking about on September 2nd.
Please.
We can't wait to be there on your radio show again. And on September 2nd, Billy is going to continue to talk more in depth about Area 51 and what he's experienced there as far as UFO beings as well as crafts that he has been, that he was, in touch with and especially has spoken to and actually touched the crafts, and he knows all about them. And, of course, Laura will be coming in, too, to speak more about our ascension, what's going on. And we're going to have a chance to have him speak also about a couple of great products that will help people with raising their vibration as well as improving their health as we move into our evolution towards ascension.
Awesome.
Before you go, you do a call every second Saturday. Is that right? When is the next call that
yes,
you do?
we do. In fact, we are going to be, we'll be talking this coming Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we will be talking about your show, and so everybody will know it from the Hollow Earth Network, and people can actually come and listen to it if they just go ahead and call.
What is the number?
The number is... it's called Hollow Earth Network, and the number is 347-637-2383.
Okay. Again, that's 347-637-2383.
I tried to get into your call when he was doing the healing 2 weeks ago, and the call was full.
Well, they have about a couple thousand people listening each week.
Probably recommended to get in early to be able to get on the call.
I would.
Good tip.
I would, if you're going to get through.
Yeah, actually, if you can actually go on, not just this number, but you can also do it online. So if you go to the hollowearthnetwork.com, then you can scroll down to breaking news, and then you're going to get all the information as to how to be able to get in to listen to the call or even ask questions.
Great. That's hollowearthnetwork.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Yes.
All right, Quasar, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you for calling in.
You're very welcome. Oh, Dr. Johnson's wonderful. Ladies, is great.
Thank you.
We look forward to our call with you, and maybe we'll be seeing you on Saturday's call. Thank you for this time.
Fabulous.
Have a great
Thank
night.
you.
And tell Billy I said hi.
I certainly will.
Okay, thank you.
all.
Yeah, that's
Bye-bye.
going to be a good.
That's going to be exciting.
Yeah, they do their call every second and fourth. Is it second and fourth Friday? Saturday? Yeah.
I think so.
Yes, second and fourth Saturday, and it's 12 o'clock our time, 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12
time.
o'clock our time.
12
on that
o'clock
call.
Eastern, yeah.
So much information, so much
they
great
have at least a
information.
couple thousand people listening each and every week.
That's why I
mean,
recommend
yeah.
calling in early otherwise.
yeah.
Or, as you said, you can go to hollowearthnetwork.com.
Right. Jesse, any questions? Anything you want to share with us?
You missed when they called in, so you might have a lot of questions.
I don't even understand what hollow earth means, except it appears that there's some kind of hole in the earth and there's a bridge that goes somewhere
You might
else.
want to punch it up before that.
All
that
right,
day.
Yeah,
I'll have to
definitely.
make sure I
you
do
might
a
have
little
some
research
questions
on
over
that.
there.
I
Yeah.
went on something on Facebook today, and the first post was about Hollow Earth, and it said Nazi maps and documents to Agartha, which that's what they were calling Hollow Earth, confirm that that there's access to Hollow Earth up there. It's the North Pole.
Yeah.
Wow.
They said even Admiral Byrd was invited into the Hollow Earth back in the 30s, and he flew into that. So there's a whole story there.
Right, and a Nazi YouTube,
Right.
a YouTube,
There's a lot of information there.
a U-sub
There's a lot
made
of
it in
information
there,
on that.
one
yeah.
of Hitler's, because Hitler was really big into finding it. And
Right. Okay.
All
so
right.
so here we are.
Interesting.
Did we have any updates? Anything that you wanted to?
Well, I thought that was kind of interesting. I was just doing a little bit of digging since I joined the show last week, and we kept talking about, whether or not aliens are here. And I thought it was really cool to find a story from NASA, right? So this quote actually came from NASA last year, and they have finally putting in print and on the internet, and they said it is highly improbable in the limitless vastness of the universe that we humans stand alone. And that was NASA's administrator, Charles Bolden. So,
right, and there's an updated version from NASA that they said, the proof of the existence is imminent.
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
They did. They said they released on 8/2/15. NASA released
Wow.
the UFO files about the messages received from aliens on other planets.
So
Oh,
it's
man.
coming
So
too.
it's coming. It's coming to big time.
Yeah.
Even the
Serious
Vatican.
stuff.
And we'll talk about the Vatican in just a moment. George Green, is he with us? George?
George, are you here?
Hello, George.
Do we have another
George.
guest? No. Okay. But
We
anyway,
miss you,
George, you
George.
missed out.
Yeah.
No,
You should
no.
have called in, George.
but he's going to be on next week.
Oh, good.
He's going to be our guest for next
All right.
week.
We'll see him next week.
But the Vatican astronomer said that alien life will be discovered, and this will not prove or disprove the existence of God. That's the statement that the Vatican allowed him to make.
Sure.
That's
So-
huge.
They're huge. No, it's coming.
And then, and there's that rumor that when the Pope arrives here in September, that he's actually going to announce that it
He
does
may or may not.
exist.
Yeah,
but
that's-
it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I was reading something about that the other day, that he may or may not address that issue.
I've
got a
fallen prey to many Pope stories that I bought into, and later the Pope, that did not happen. So I got to see it to believe it with
Right.
the Pope,
Well,
right?
and that's sort of this whole thing. There's so many people out there, that are abductees and see the ships, and then some that are just making up this story make the ones that are really credible their job harder to prove it to those who don't believe. But there's
Well,
that
they're always
old
going to be the
saying.
disbelievers.
Of course.
I mean, that's part and parcel of being on this planet. The people who say it doesn't exist, the world is not flat, the world is flat.
What's
the
that
world
old?
is-
What's that old saying? For those who believe, no proof is necessary, and for those that don't, there's not enough
Nothing you
proof.
can-
Nothing
exactly.
you can
Right,
do.
right.
It's
Right.
more eloquent than that, but that's the basic idea.
Okay. So then that's the question, right? So now that we know, what do we do about it? That's what I wanted to talk about today. It's like, okay, so now that alien life is here and it's on the planet, yeah, so what? So now what? How do we prepare? What do we do? Is alien the politically correct term to use anymore, or should we call them sentient beings?
Or extraterrestrials, but that's
Do we
that's
need
a
to
great
take a survey?
question.
ETs, can you please email us your feedback at ufo@amp2.tv? Would you like to be called alien, extraterrestrial, sentient being, or other? And please fill in the blank.
That's good. It is, but there's so many that are presenting themselves that you'd be a Palladian, or the ones that I just heard about today on Gaiam TV. Gaiam TV is
Gaiam
huge.
TV's big, yeah.
And David Wilcox is there interviewing this incredible guy, Corey Good.
Is that right?
And yes, this guy was taken when he was 6, not an abductee, but taken to Catswell Air Force Base, where, remember in Hollow Earth, he told us when he went, you go down, whatever, 4 miles or whatever, and then you hit the tram that goes, and he said it was sort of like a star galactic, where he was then transported to Locke, which is on the base on the other side of the moon. Locke being Lunar Operation Command. That's on the back side of the moon, where then, this is at 6 years old, he had to sign these documents that he was in for 20 years.
They made a 6-year-old. I'd like to see that signature, please.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He wasn't really of legal age
that
to
an
be
X?
signing.
Was that a squiggle?
But what was interesting is listening to David Wilcox interview this guy. He his information and the way he presents it was so credible, but it was so mind expanding. And he eventually talks about this group called the Blue Avians. I've never heard of them.
Are they
and
on this planet or outside this planet? Well, obviously outside.
Well, they're outside, but they're helping us right now. So they're sort of the ones that are, as he called it, the positive polarity. And they're 8 feet tall.
Do they have big ears?
I didn't even notice if they had ears.
Okay.
Because it was a sketch, and they have human-like bodies from the chest down, but their heads are bird-like with these small beaks and these big plumage of indigo blue feathers in the back, and they speak sort of with symbols. I couldn't help thinking like nano, but and telepathically, even though their little beak is moving. But they're here, and I guess they're called, they're from a 6th or higher densities. And when they're of 6 or higher densities, they're more in the positive polarity for the planet. And I was thinking, density, so that's like dimension, planet, other realms. And they're right now diffusing this massive shift in energies happening to our planet, magnetic-wise and everything, that would be causing major tsunamis. And the energy is so diverse and intense that it would cause so much chaos. They're slowing it down to help us move with it, and because it would also cause madness within us. But I'd never heard of blue avians.
Yeah, but look, the estimate is, according to people who do a lot of research, that there are about 100 different species from different parts of the universe on this planet as we speak, maybe more.
I'm sure more.
Well,
right.
Corey
conservative.
Good alone talked about at least 22 that are doing genetic programs on us, and this is what he got.
Are
part
they helping
of.
to fix us, or are they,
You know what? He was
Well,
honest. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Study.
It's a lot of information, tons and tons of information, and a lot of some disinformation and a lot of great information.
Right.
And that's why we're here, because we want to
Filter
be.
it out.
Yeah, we want to bring the people to the table who have some ideas about what's going on, even the stuff that's being hidden or covered up. So that's where we want to open the whole thing up to people. So
He speaks a lot about that.
So anyway,
Can you cover anything up anymore, though, really? I mean, isn't it kind of all unraveling? Isn't that why NASA's like, dang it, we got to start admitting that they're real and plan for someone to finally figure it out?
Right.
I mean, is it really, how much can you cover it up anymore?
well, it's coming. It's really coming to the fore.
More
So,
and more
yeah,
whistleblowers,
more.
Right.
they had,
George?
as far as I know, a lot of them had,
You have the number to call in?
vow of silence for 20
Now.
years, 30 years, like Corey Good here, he was vowed, 20 years. Well, he was in the programs for 20 years, and they shifted him as he aged. Like when he was 13 and
88.
14, they changed his program that he was in.
Yeah, 888-565.
Yeah, like
14-7.
using his gifts of intuitive empath.
Right.
One of them was the intruder program. And you're like, my God, what's that? And as these people, as these beings would intrude the solar system, he was one of these that would be in the interrogation room with them to see if they meant harm, if they were telling the truth. and he would do that face to face or via his gifts of intuition and knowing.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Oh,
have you
I hear
done
the phone ringing. Did someone call 888-565-1470?
1470? If people can call
Yeah,
that number.
people can call that number?
Yeah, you can call the number if you have a question,
Right.
some information you want to share. So, yeah, let's
I hear it
because
ringing back there.
today is an open program, really.
Yeah.
Yep, who do we have on the air?
Oh, we have
George.
George.
Welcome.
Welcome,
Yay.
George.
Put
We're
him
so
through.
happy.
You heard
Come
our
on,
call.
George.
He's going to be with us next week for a whole hour, and George is going to tell us what he's going to be talking about next week for an hour. George, you're on?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I
can
hear
hear
you loud
you.
and clear.
Well, the things I'm going to do over the weekend, we're going to be finding out the direction everything goes. We know that everything's collapsing down, and what I'm trying to do is get your listeners in a position where they'll be able to survive this coming collapse of all kinds. I mean, everything from the food in the stores to your banks and everything else. So that's what I'm going to be discussing.
Okay.
That's good information.
So, George, listen, are we talking about a similar incident like 2008, 2009 in terms of the bailout? Is something that's going to be like that? Or are you forecasting that?
No, it isn't like that. You know, that was all orchestrated by the feds. They come in and, save Wall Street and all the rest of that stuff. No, this is going to kind of, if you want to look at it, be like Greece. Everybody's going to be sitting out there trying to figure a way to go.
You think it's going to be
not
that?
only that, Puerto Rico's in that same position right now.
I just
True.
heard that, yeah.
Yeah, they just.
What is this due
Well,
to?
they're
Internet
not
collapse?
the only
or-
ones. Illinois is in the same position, but they don't tell you anything about it right now. They're upside down. And what's happening is, and that's what I want to discuss in detail, is all these people's retirement funds are all in either city bonds or state bonds and all this stuff, and it's all going to be dissolved. There's nothing behind any of it.
Okay, George. So remember back in the day when we used to talk 25 years ago, George and I, on
Oh, cool.
American Radio Network.
Yeah, I'm 26 years old. This is a long time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate
He was an
that.
advanced thinker. A one.
George, let's talk briefly about your background. You've been a banker. You've owned banks. You've built shopping
Well, I used to sell money to banks.
Okay.
And what happened is, and I'll tell you, you want me to briefly just tell you how this all worked, so the idea of selling money. What happened is my dad was in the meatpacking business, and when we went out and bought a carload of cattle, we got to pay for it in 24 hours. Well, we would process the animal, and we'd sell it to the government, but they'd pay us in 2 or 3 months. So what would happen, my job was go to the banks and borrow money against my government receivables. It was a no-brainer. Well, one of my bankers says, you got a lot of friends with money. Why don't you have them put money into my account, or your account here, and we'll be able to loan you more money. And I said, Dan, his name was Dan Sebastian. I said, Dan, let me look at your books. And I went over the books, and that's when I discovered that if I put in $1 million into the bank, they can loan out $10 million, or 10 times the amount of the deposit. It's out of thin air. So I would say, now that's interesting. And I said, well, how do you get other people to put money into? And he said, well, we advertise. So he put full-page ads. And so I calculated. I said, that's about 3%. And he says, that's about right. And I said, well, you give me 3%, and we'll get all the money you want. So what happened is I called my buddies. I wrote out a check to them for 2% in advance. They put the money in the bank. It was still FDIC guaranteed. It was their money. I didn't touch it. But they could loan out 10 times that. You understand?
Yeah, got it.
So what happened is I became so powerful, I could break a bank. Because at the end of 1 year, when your certificate came up for renewal, who did you call? You wanted that 2% again. You understand?
I got it.
And so what happened is there's a couple bank. First of all, my banker told the other bankers about it because this is the best thing he could have. So anyway, they went ahead and did that, and I had banks from all over. I had money coming in from all over the country because everybody was talking to each other about my deal. I was the only one. So the Federal Reserve notified the state of Colorado to give me a license for selling money. I said, bring it on. I love exams. Now, my background, besides that, I studied law, business. I went to Colorado School of Mines. My major was engineering, geophysics. And then from that game on, I became very knowledgeable about the banking game and how it's set up. So we set up our own bank outside the Federal Reserve. I got the state of Colorado to guarantee my deposits, but I couldn't write up 10 times the amount of deposit. Now, how this worked, if you put in, I just give you an illustration, $10 million in the bank, they could loan out $100 million. Well, it cost them to get to $10 million, to me, $300,000. But if they loaned out the $100 million at 8%, they got in $8 million on their investment at $300,000. Understand?
Yes.
It's a monopoly game. I understand. We got it.
Well, it's even worse than that, because when they come back to me, finally, we got to a point, they notified me to give me a license, and I said, bring on the license, I love exams, and they said, we've never had one before, and I said, well, what's the problem? They said, well, we can't identify anything on money, and I said, no problem, so I had Peter Dominic, our state senator, get me the accounting book for the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund. Isn't that the best place to go? And I got it. They don't have a definition of money either. So if they don't have a definition, then what is it? Well, that's when we all decided that it's some kind of security. So what they did is then I became a principal, a registered financial principal and a broker-dealer and underwriter, and I found out that's another scam. That's another big lie. Everybody's playing Monopoly, but the game is owned by somebody else, frankly.
Okay. Here's a big question. Since the game of money is continuing and the $700 billion bailout was a ruse to split the money up among the friends and not let any of it trickle down to the people in the community. So you think that game is continuing by whom? By whom?
Well, China. You have to understand, I flew around the world with world leaders, so I'm sitting there with their games because it bothered me so much because I could see how far that we were being brought down, the trail. Because every year we go even more deeper into debt. Our government, we're about over $100 trillion in debt to the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is a private bank. Now, not one dime in income tax goes to pay the rent in this country. All goes to interest to the Federal Reserve. So they keep advancing, as you know, between $30 and $50 billion a month right now, keep our country afloat. Well, China's aware of this. So is Russia is aware of this. So they're putting themselves into motion. So that when they collapse the whole deal, and we have all these weather things that are coming up that are changing, and these were all, I've talked about this for years.
Right.
I was in Panama, and the ocean's 5 degrees warmer. Don't you think that's affecting everything?
Yes.
I mean, the West Coast has there's no water there. I was down at Phoenix, there's no water down there, and yet we're looking around at places to go, how long can we sustain this? Well, there's a lot of motion of having them declare a national emergency or in next month, in September.
Here's a bigger question. Since we're really in the throes of some changes here as we look around.
Big changes. You're not going to use the dollar anymore. You're going to get the debit card. I sat in on the meetings.
What about Bitcoin?
94% of all money today is either credit card or by checks. In other words, there's nothing behind it.
Right.
What's your thoughts on Bitcoin?
Well, one of my friends actually helped put that together. Bitcoin was set into motion for people to hide themselves. Now, it's going up and down. The trouble is with trading, it's just like me. If I run around the world, I carry the World Bank says the only real money is gold. So anywhere I go, I have between 2 to 5 ounces of gold in my pocket because I know at least that's money. The problem is exchanging for whatever currency you're having. In other words, you take a look at all the currencies in the world right now. I got a list of all of them. And how do you exchange it between the countries? And that's the reason why the game becomes better when you go to Switzerland, when the Bank of International Settlements sit down there and trades money between countries. What do you think? This is all a big monopoly game.
Right.
So are you saying
how do you
that the
take care of it
Bitcoin is
all?
not something that people are using? It's hard to trade, and so it's not.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, trading with people that know about the game. But the trouble is when you start looking at we'll take the physical stock market at this minute. There is so much money being loaned by private lenders. In other words, people with money. I've got people with, millions of dollars, and they don't know what to do with it because they don't want to put it in real estate. Most of real estate's owned by the government right now. If you buy a house, you get a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan. That's all government. So you're back to the same position. Who owns the government? Well, the game is coming apart because we've exported all our jobs because of the taxation system. All of our major corporations have gone, and set up a parent office in some other country.
I think
and that's to avoid the tax situation.
Okay.
You can still go, when you go down to Haiti, for instance, I don't know if you've been down there, you can still buy people for $1 a day.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
But we seem to be it seemed to be something coming down the pike, George. And you seem to have your fingers on the pulse of this whole thing. Now,
well, I got people that are counting on me because I've got plenty of people who have been listening to my advice over the years, and frankly, are scared to death right now because they don't know
George,
the ultimate, the bigger plan. I said in a bigger plan.
George, let me ask a question.
That's what I want to discuss next Wednesday with your listeners and go on it from there.
Okay.
I mean, people can see more of me. They can just go to YouTube and just put George Green, and you can see a lot of.
Yeah,
you can
please,
see the stuff
folks who are listening, who really are concerned about this. Whether it's a rumor, whether it's an innuendo, whether it's something real, Google George Green. How about if they were to go to www.nohoax.com? Can they get that kind of information?
They can do that too. See, I'm all over the internet.
Right.
I mean, my lectures all over there. A lot of them are on YouTube. So if you just go to YouTube and George Green, you see a lot of them. You can just. This thing goes beyond planet Earth, frankly, and it's hard to explain.
Let's talk about
how I
that
got involved
briefly.
with all this.
Briefly.
Yeah, expand on that.
What do you mean it goes beyond planet Earth? What do you mean by that statement? The aliens are controlling this, manipulating this. I mean, you were supposed to be in touch with the Pleiadians for many, many years.
I was in touch and still in touch with extraterrestrials. Now, there's a lot of extra that means above this planet. There's a lot of them visiting us. I mean, my gosh, I get the people reports into me today, pictures from all over the planet. My stuff in Ecuador. They got guys down there that built their house in the valley on the west end of Cuenca, and they can take pictures of the craft coming in every night down there.
Yeah. Greg was on the program a couple of weeks ago. He's coming back again. I am in the process of setting up another program with him for an hour.
Well, Greg's fantastic. He's got it.
Right.
I don't know if you know that, but he has a total memory of everything he's ever read. He retains it all. Oh. And of course, he is in the health business, trying to help people. And of course, he found himself out there. From his house, they go across the valley up there, and the river rise went down there. So it's really getting to the point.
Here's the
question. I says, when I see the bomb hit Israel, because that's what the plan is, that begins World War III, and I don't want to be in this country.
Okay, George, here's the question. So the aliens are participating in the collapse as we see it, in terms of the money, or is it the one world government, or is it?
They don't have anything to. No, the aliens are not doing that. They're observing what we have. They're trying to get us information so we can get prepared. That's the way it is.
Okay,
they don't want to do it. Each of the different races. There's only one race on this planet. It's called the human race. Now, we all come from different colors, but how did that all generate? Well, it generated because we all come from different star systems. And planet Earth happens to be kind of the landing pod, if you want to, of a bunch of people. It's like everybody going to Honolulu. How many different races do you have over there when you go to land on the beach?
Okay. Right. George, let me get back to the point. The point being, I want to discuss what seems to be coming down the pike. In terms of the monetary system collapsing as we think it may be. I'm looking at a report here. Experts say, look at who's going bankrupt next in America, and that.
Well, what about this one? I mean, this one says over 300 of America's wealthiest and most powerful citizens have pulled personal money from the U.S. banking system.
Is that true, George? And how about 54?
Sure it is.
Oh, 54 politicians pulled money.
The problem is moving money right now. I just give you an idea. I got a bunch of, this just happened today. My guys were calling me, and I told them they have a bunch of silver. And they went and they flew down to, of course, they're moving out of the United States. They didn't know what's happened. So they flew into Ecuador. But Ecuador charged them 40% tax for bringing in the silver.
Wow.
40%. Wow. So what I'm looking at is, it isn't a question of what's going on. It's the conversion of what we have into whatever currency. Now, the plan is, of course, the Chinese want us to have the Chinese currency. But and having the little card, the little debit card, which allow you to go do it. Now it comes down to who's going to be allowed to get it. Well, why did they ask me to build an enemy prisoner war camp in downtown Las Vegas? Does that make a lot of sense to you?
No.
The contract says enemy prisoner war camp. And, of course, Ted Gunderson. Remember Ted? He's former head of the FBI. And Ted and I gave it to Ted, and he said they're building them all over the country, only they changed the names. They call them FEMA camps. But they're getting ready for World War III.
Let me ask this, because we will bring you back next week, and we have about a half an hour. We want to discuss some other things. And I'm glad you came on. I appreciate that. But I want you to slow down on this one, because I want the people who have no clue about the monetary policies, the monetary practices, what's being manipulated, to understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'll walk it through real slow.
You gotta go. You
Thank
gotta go. No, George.
No, the biggest problem is everybody gets a paycheck and they spend most of it, and they take out all these different so-called benefits that they get, and they're telling you they're going to be safe, and they're admitting on all of them, even the Federal Reserve's admitted.
George, let me ask you a question. Question. Stop.
Yeah.
Slow down. Remember back 2000 in 2000, we talked about Y2K and the collapse
Sure.
of that didn't happen.
Well,
That
it
was
should have,
technical.
except for what happened is they got together in Washington, D.C., and the guys flew up to New York, and they went in and they pumped it all up, paid off all the stockholders and everything, so everybody got their money back. And yet they got the money basically by selling. Remember all the days when the savings and loans loaned all their money?
Uh-huh.
All the banks, all the savings and loans had it, and remember they went bankrupt?
Right.
Well,
Yes.
the inside group basically paid 40 cents on the dollar for all their assets. And then they had the American taxpayer pick it up, buy more debt. So we're creating more debt, you understand? In order to do that, they did the same thing with the stock exchange. Now, I was an underwriter. Now, you can't get any better than that in the securities business. I was the one that issued the stocks in the first place. Part of my agreement, because I was a member of the group, I would be able to go ahead and let other people sell my stocks also, but I had to maintain the market. In other words, always standing by in order to buy back the shares. Well, it got to that point when the market dropped. Remember the 40% drop? I looked at this. I knew what the company was worth, but everybody out here is greedy. Well, I'm going to make money in my stocks, and they're going to do all that. All they can do is trade between each other. Well, when all that passes, then what happens is the underwriter, like myself, I had to buy back the shares or maintain the market. Well, I knew what the company was worth. I said, wait a minute, this is not a good position, especially after I got a letter from the Federal Reserve directly, said that they would loan me all the money to maintain the market. Now, what is that telling you?
Right. It's a real shell game. I got it. It's what, the 3-card Molly, or whatever you want to call that. It's a mess out there. But most people have no clue.
The problem
George.
is I'm looking for solutions for your listeners as well as my friends that I've been doing business
And
with.
that's
for
what we
years.
want.
Okay.
We
And
want
that's why
the
we're happy you're going to
solutions.
be here with us. We want to hear solutions and mastermind with you,
Okay.
George.
Yes.
Two things quickly before you go, because we will bring you back next week, and we want you to slow it down for those of us who are slow and a little retarded and not real quick
What
to
are you
catch
trying to
on
tell
to
me?
all
You're
of
going to
it.
hurry up to stop? Is that it? Go ahead. No, I'm just joking.
But listen, have you heard of Stansberry Research out of Baltimore?
Sure.
Okay, those guys called Freddie Mae and whatever that other
Fannie Mae.
Fannie Mae.
Mae and Freddie Mac.
They called that before it happened. Now, the reports I have here saying the crash is coming and it's imminent. That's what they are saying this time. So, and we will give
and
them.
a lot of people look when I call my buddies and see my problem. The guys that really have the money. When you sit back there, it isn't the guys that are been elected down there. They're all bought and paid for by somebody behind the scenes. I mean, you're seeing that. They're admitting that on the talk radio right now. It's the people that fund them behind who they want to put in office, right? So the money is controlled by them. What these guys are doing, and they're scared to death, they've been moving the money out of the country. Now, the way to get your money moved, obviously, is to become a corporation, which is a non-entity. It isn't a real person. But I'll discuss this next week.
Okay,
I'll
great.
go into
So,
details on
listen,
that.
for the people.
I'll tell you how we're going to do it. The problem is, you got a bank right there in Florida. Everbank converts your dollars into whatever currency you want.
And we want to,
It's a $1 billion bank.
And we want to talk about that for Florida. Now, before we go there, for the people who want to get more information about their money, the 401k, which may end up to be a 101k, that you really want to call Stansberry, here's that number, 1-800-278-5519. Again, that number is 800-278-5519. That's great information, George. So this,
That's good information. You can also give me the 800 number. I'll tell you exactly what's coming down and put you in line and tell you when I get.
Okay, what is your
notice.
800 number?
729-4131.
Okay. That's
800-729-4131. That's my 800 number.
Okay. That's another number. You can talk to George personally if you're really concerned about preserving your assets, if you will. 800-729-4131. And George, one more thing. Have you heard of since you talked about Florida, the West Palm Beach group that will be handling shifting money into the 7770 Club? You know about this? You know about that deal?
I don't know. I haven't I seriously don't. I've heard about it, but I don't have a lot of details on it because all these guys think that they're going to protect themselves. Hell, I was clear up at the top.
Okay.
I mean, when I'm sitting, look, China is loaded. They're buying the world, as you know that.
Yes.
We owe them about $3 trillion right now. Nobody even knows what a trillion is.
Right.
I mean, when I was on the radio telling them we were in the hole, 100 billion, nobody even knew that. Now they talk about trillions, and nobody understands that.
Okay. George, next week, how's that?
Why don't we do it next week?
Let's get together next week, George. How does that sound to you?
Let's have a slow ride next
Yeah,
week.
we want to do it slowly because there are a lot of people who don't understand the shifting and the money and the trilateral commissions and the building burgers and the Illuminatis and one world government. They don't have a clue about all this stuff.
Powerful group that I know of, I used to run with them, and that's a Skull and Bones.
Okay, fine. Okay.
You used to run with the Skull and Bones?
He's got
Couple of
millions.
them. Yeah,
He's got tons of millions. Are you kidding? So George, he's been out there. He's just been flying all over the world for the last 30 years that I've known him. That's when George, hey, thank you very much for being on the program. Really appreciate
Thanks,
it.
George.
Thank
we'll see
you,
you next
George.
week.
Hey, you guys have a good afternoon, and don't sweat the small stuff. This is going to the big game's coming up.
Okay,
I
so
hear you.
to get more information, call George directly, 1-800-729-4131, 1-800-729-4131. Thanks, George. Really appreciate you being on. Thank you.
We'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you now.
Bye.
So it's a problem coming. And again, the Stansberry Research is a good company to call and be filtered. They right on top of this. And there's a West Palm Beach group. They're working on all, and I got to call them and have them on the air about this whole thing. It's coming down the pike. So it's really getting to get serious. As most people say, I don't believe it. I don't think it's going to happen, and da-da-da. The world is not going to collapse, but something is going on. But anyway.
Well, and I wanted to address your Y2K question. I think the reason why it's different is because Y2K was simply like computer technology and programming. And when they knew it was a problem, the first thing they did, as George wants to do, is create solutions. And so the first thing that they did was hire massive amounts of people to start working on it, fixing it, upgrading systems. And it was very base kind of stuff. And so I think that they probably, different than this is your whole entire government that we're talking about. So much whole world. Yeah. So much different kind of problem, I would say.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
The idea, I think, is not to go into fear,
Right.
but to prepare and go into solution.
Yeah, it's called PP.
So, make sure you've got some food and some toilet paper.
Right.
Right, that's it. I'm
newspaper's
not
no
coming to
fun.
your house if that's all you've got.
Right. Well, it's called PPPPP. Prior preparation prevents poor performance. So,
Right.
So here
And
we
in
are.
Armageddon, poor performance does not turn out so well.
Right. I hear you. But it's interesting, and we want to not frighten people as they did in.
I'm frightened. Help me. How do I feel better?
Well, George is going to have some solutions, and when you call
Okay.
these other institutions who are working on this behind the scenes, they will give you some information about what you should do and how you should
Protect yourself.
protect your fortress, if you will,
Right.
your assets.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Oh.
that's coming down there. But something is amiss. And as we were surprised when George Bush says 3 months before he had to leave the office, he says the world has a serious problem and we need $700 billion quickly. And they rushed it all through, and now they split all that money up among themselves, and they have disappeared. None of it has trickled down to us. Now, that's real deal. And if you ever want to see that whole scenario, it's a video that I got out of the library that explains this whole thing. So I'm just saying that something is not quite kosher, if you will.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so we need to kind of wake up a little bit, not much, just a little bit. So
A little bit could be a huge shift.
That's what I was going to say. Once you wake up, you're up, It's your eyes are open. So for sure, open your eyes and
Don't
start
go into
working on
fear.
solutions.
And
Don't
I
go into
think
fear.
they found something
Prepare.
else, some more planets that they've discovered. Could you just look
Yeah,
at that?
sure. So Russell just handed me astronomers find star with 3 super Earths
Yeah. So
Thursday.
all that stuff is being disclosed and coming to the fore, whether it be the Greys, the Reptilians, the Nordics, the Palladians, and 100 others. They're out there, and this is it's interesting stuff. I mean, it's coming down the pike. So I'm glad to be a part of attempting to share some of this information. And as you were reading about Dr. Flanagan and some of the other people that we bring into, talk about Dr. Flanagan
huge.
just to bring it. What do you think about Dr.
Well,
Flanagan?
what I'm most impressed about this show is that the people that keep stepping up to the microphone are PhDs,
Oh, yeah.
people with
Oh, yeah.
huge resumes,
Right.
where it's, so the thing that just impressed me about Dr. Flanagan was the fact, I think he said, was a child prodigy at 6 or 7 years old.
Mm-hmm.
The government came in and took his invention. I mean, that's how good he was as a kid.
Right.
And so that kind of caliber of person that's going to step in
Mm-hmm.
and, bring more credibility to this conversation. That's what I'm excited about.
Right.
Right. And, you've got George Green was a banker. I mean,
Oh,
and
he's-
look at his history. I mean, if you can't take that as credible, you know.
And then you got Dr. Greer out there, Stephen
Right.
Greer. He's
Yep.
out there, and he's really formulating a lot of things. He's in Italy now doing seminars with about 700 or 800 people. Many of whom are retired millionaires and billionaires and bankers and brigadier generals and all of that. So that's a whole movement that he's begun to organize. So this thing is it's interesting now. So some 25 years later, here I come down the pike again.
Oh, and I'm so happy me and my friends can talk about it on the air now, and people actually want to hear it. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the,
for
that's
a
the cool
change,
thing.
yeah.
For
That's
change,
the difference.
Yeah.
People want to hear
People
it
want
now.
to hear it. They're open. They
That's
have
it.
been woken up.
And that's good. That's good. Yeah,
it is.
Because I
I-
remember when I was doing shows back 25 years ago on this subject, I would tell people I'm doing a show on UFOs and alien abductions and crop circles. They say, I don't want to hear about that stuff. Who cares about that stuff?
Right.
But that was the attitude then. But I think people are now, because of the consciousness level being raised.
Yes.
Well, and people are seeing more and more unexplainable things in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet allows you to instantly get
That's
your.
it.
If
That's
you really
huge.
saw an alien, they could shut you up, throw you out, bury you in the back before you ever told
True.
one person. Where here, man, you get your iPhone and you're
And
you're
already
on
on.
it.
It's
You're
already
on it.
before
It's
they
already-
can stop it.
Stop
You know,
it,
what
yeah.
I find so interesting is when I'm looking up these things on YouTube, how often my computer shuts down, it freezes, I get kicked out on certain people that I'm watching. And then I go back, video not available, it's down. You're like, really?
yeah.
And there's no cover-ups,
Oh yeah, no. Facebook shuts people down all the time if they don't like what they're saying. So yeah, that's common.
For the people who have not been apprised of all this stuff, they think we are nutcases sitting
That's
talking
all right.
about it.
Come,
And it's
come eat
okay.
nuts with us.
I've been considered a nutcase from time to time, but
That's
one book I would recommend it's by Colonel Philip Corso. He just passed. It's called The Day After Roswell. You need to pick that
Interesting.
book up. The Day After
The
Roswell.
day after Roswell.
Excellent book. He was in charge of all the back
Cleanup?
engineering, all the debris that they found after Roswell in 1947, and he controlled all of that for the next 50 years, almost single-handedly.
Wow.
So, another DVD, if you will, I would get would be, if you can get it, but yeah, you can get it. Go on Amazon. Would be Steven Spielberg did a 13-hour series called Taken.
Taken. I'm in the middle of watching it. It's
is-
good.
Is it good?
is-
Yeah.
Yes.
it is. And my sources, I'm not telling you who they are.
And they're good.
My sources say 99% of that 13 hours is true.
Wow.
It's very, what I've seen so
19
far
hours.
is very well dialogued.
Oh, no question.
It's
It's
very
excellent.
methodic. It's step by step.
it's
Steven
super-
Spielberg. I
Three
hope it's
different-
produced well.
No. It
No.
is mind-boggling. 13
it's
hours
good.
of it.
Yeah,
But
it's awesome.
It's worth all 13 hours. I'm telling you.
It gets you right in the beginning.
It's good.
Yeah.
It talks about the crash at Roswell and
Someone who was abducted. It's 3 simultaneous stories.
Right.
So far is what I'm getting. So an abductee, Roswell,
No, it goes
The guy who found the medal in Roswell.
right.
And then
all of that.
Yeah.
If you can watch that, or you can read the book the
So-
day after Roswell. That's a good book. Or you can go to the other way. You can go on Amazon.com and order it if you want.
Yes.
And I think it was about $69, whatever it was for all
exactly.
13 hours. And I have a copy of that. But the other thing you can do if you want free, sometimes free is good.
Free is always good.
Free is always good. You like free?
I
Okay.
like free.
Yeah,
Free's
I don't-
nice.
You can go to this website, The Real Truth Call a 2.com. And she has all 13 hours sitting there that you can watch.
Wow.
The
Yeah,
real,
I got it free somewhere.
Okay.
Not YouTube.
Okay,
but,
great.
I mean, not Amazon.
Okay.
But somehow, all of a sudden, I was searching Amazon. It was $69.95, like you said.
Right.
Not bad.
Not
you
bad.
know,
No, I
it
have
would
it.
be
I
really
have it.
cool to have in your library.
No, I got it.
Right.
I got it. Yeah.
So, and then somehow, I don't know, I just landed it free and started watching it.
Right, that's good. All I'm saying is that there is a lot of information. Now, for instance, that what they have done, since people don't want to read too much, and that's okay too. Some, but and you know they want to watch Jerry Springer or whatever. But what they have done is put this information in DVDs and motion pictures. The other motion picture I would recommend. Oh yeah, this guy's calling me from South America. But anyway, he's going to be on the show pretty soon. But anyway, I'll catch him later. But the other DVD I would tell people, The Fourth Kind. Have you seen The Fourth Kind?
I've not.
You got to see The
Yes.
Fourth Kind.
So tell me,
oh my
here's
gosh,
why
it's
this
on Netflix right
It's
now.
on
So,
Netflix?
You
yeah.
got
Okay,
to
I'll watch
see. You got to see. That's
like-
that's 110% true.
Is it kid friendly? Like, do I watch it?
No,
with-
no,
is it-
no,
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 no.
Okay, so
no,
if
no.
y'all could
no.
see the eyes of the people in the room right now,
It is
not
not-
kid friendly.
I
don't-
Reporting
I
not
don't- No,
kid
don't do
friendly.
that.
I don't
Okay.
get scared. This was disturbing.
Okay, but
Okay.
why do I want to do that? So my question, I like what George
Because
said,
it's
right?
real.
No, it's
Right,
real.
but I know, but
no.
right, but I get
Just-
that.
just for
okay.
a second,
All
just
right,
for a
tell
second.
me, help me. That's why I'm here.
The Fourth Kind
Yes.
is 110% facts.
Okay.
True, absolutely fact. When you watch it, it's going to be from Nome, Alaska.
Mm.
It's going to be totally unbelievable. Like, that's not true.
Right, but I only have so many minutes in a day, and I like George's attitude about creating solutions. And I love the fact that he claimed that the aliens that he knows are not here to hurt us, and in fact, they're trying to
Okay,
help us.
okay.
So if I know that from his perspective and all his interactions with aliens, that they are here to help and they want to help, and in fact, they're giving us information to even help us. So then my question really becomes: I get those movies and understanding, and those would wake me up more to what's possible.
Of course.
But then, so what's after the movie? Like, where's the manual of how to ask for alien help? Help me, so I,
Well,
you
I
know.
mean, they're here, and they, in many instances, as he indicates,
Yeah.
as he believes. I'm just saying
Yeah,
I don't want to be the message here. That he believes they're here to help us,
Yes.
and because they made us.
No.
We weren't made from a monkey or a donkey, right?
Right,
we,
right.
we were made. They created us, and the experiment went awry, if you will.
Oh, is that the theory?
No, it's true.
That's
True.
that's true. How do we
Yep.
know that?
Well, I'll bring people to the microphone.
Yes.
All right.
From
that's
now
cool.
on,
And I'm
who-
open. I'm open
No,
to
no, no, and they
understanding
will
how
tell
it
you- they
goes.
will
Yeah,
tell you-
first
I
of
don't
all,
like
they
to think we're an
messed up because they
experiment
gave
go
us
wrong.
choice.
Well,
Well, but if they have choice
No,
and we're a manifestation of
we,
them, then
we
we're,
have
yeah.
choice. Yes,
We'll
free
bring 'em
choice.
on.
All in the universe, all in the
Yeah.
galaxy. On the galaxies, they were free choice. But I think, well, I'll bring them to the microphone.
Bring them to the mic. Let's
let them
bring
t-
that.
let-
Now,
let-
now I'm
Sidestepper.
interested.
Yeah,
That's
you got
right.
that
Yeah.
They'll tell you the
That's
real
proaction
story.
right
They
there. They'll tell you
will
the
tell you the
real-
real story. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, taking the spotlight off of Russell. Yes.
Well, no, it's all for me. I'm just bringing these people. It's not about me. I'm just here.
He's
Don't
just,
make me
he's just
answer
here to
that.
ask the questions.
So what?
You're just here to ask
The
the
tough
questions.
Absolutely,
questions.
and to
It's
bring
great.
the people to the
Interesting
microphone.
people. Interesting people too.
Absolutely,
Yes.
who can give us some answers.
All right.
Because we want
need to be
answers.
informed.
Yeah.
We
We
really
do.
need to be informed.
We do.
Yeah. So I appreciate Jessica, you here, and Lady Barrett here. Listen, you want anybody to? We have the lines are open. We have about 8 minutes left or less.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Call
anyone
in.
have a friendly alien friend? I mean, we've asked for aliens to call in. I mean, do you know, that's,
Okay.
I like that concept of friendly aliens and people, or
Right.
beings here to help. I like
Right.
that. That was a nice way to hear it. It's the
So-
first,
So the line.
888.
Go ahead.
565-1470. Call in.
So this is going to be interesting as we go in the other shows in the future and bring the kind of people to the table that will give us the kind of information that most people haven't been apprised of. And I think
Right.
that's really healthy.
Super helpful.
Yeah.
Yep. Knowledge is power.
Now, yeah, well,
Knowledge is power.
if it's good knowledge.
If it's actual real knowledge,
And
yes,
if you
yes.
and
yeah.
if you use it.
Right. If you yes.
Yeah,
Knowledge is
if you
most
use-
powerful when in use.
When you
yes.
use it,
Yeah,
yeah,
when
gotta
in
use
use.
it.
for
Don't
sure.
shelf it.
Right, don't shelf it.
Right. So
Callers.
any other comments, any questions in the last 5 minutes? I think we have about 5 minutes left. Any comments? Any
Well,
questions?
you know, we're trying to get my friend David Miller on, who has broken the quantum syntech language.
Oh yeah, right. I read
And
about
is
that.
able to do it in any language. He was over in China, did it, and I forget what he said, like 40 minutes or something. But he'll twist your mind up because he talks about documents like our mortgages and stuff, the way they're written, they're not legal in our favor.
Oh, of course.
Of
Yeah.
course.
You know,
Yeah.
and he, you know, as far as credibility, he was a Supreme Court judge.
Okay,
wow.
good.
Wow.
So-
And I'm glad you brought that up because we have a person who is scheduled to be on the program on the 29th of this month who is about to change all the laws. And you got it.
I
Got it.
gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Michael Elgian is going to be coming on and speaking with us about common
Yes.
law grand juries that will actually connect us to what he calls the galactic councils. So very, very interesting stuff. Michael talks about just preparing. He's actually an author of a book that says, Prepare for the Landings, Are You Ready? And he actually is a UFO researcher, a contactee, a direct voice channel, and really talking about this exciting event that's going on. He calls it a historical moment in human history that allows people of Earth to participate in lawfully taking back our planet from the power elite. It's called the Common Law Grand Juries. He says you can go and look it up. It's out there. And it said it's ultimately going to become a planetary council connecting us to the galactic councils and helping us prepare for first contact with our star families. Love that. Star
it's
families, we're waiting for you.
But it's so
See,
much.
that's the
I mean,
nice
you
part.
see my point?
Yeah.
I mean,
We're ready.
You talked about Dr. Flanagan.
Flanagan.
You talk about this gentleman. You talk about. And
See, that brings hope.
Right,
Oh,
it brings
right.
hope.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. That's where I want that. The movies that scare me, I know that they'll open my mind
Well,
even
no,
more.
it's just scary because it's real. It's nothing, you know. Well,
Yeah.
Do we have a commercial or something? No commercials?
we have no
Oh,
commercials.
one commercial? One?
Oh, good.
One? No?
One.
I just want to get some
We'll
other.
be the commercial.
That's all right. Don't worry about that. Next time. That's
Next
right. That's
time,
all right.
next
That's all
time.
right.
We go with the flow here.
Yeah, we only
Yeah,
have
the
2 minutes
flow.
left. He
Yeah,
says
so
2
we're
minutes
going
left.
with
Well, that's
the
fine.
flow.
Don't worry about it. No, we didn't need a commercial. But listen, ladies, thank you for being on the program.
So much fun.
It is
and
fun.
providing us some insights, some information.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
just want to make a quick comment for all of the listeners out there. If you have a favorite high level professional that you listen to that's really opened your mind, make sure you email that into us because we would love to interview them if
Right.
you have a favorite person. So UFO@amp2.tv. So email in us ideas on people you'd love us to interview. That's UFO at amp2.tv.
That's AMP.
That's AMP and the number 2.
2.tv.
Yeah, .tv.
Email us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'd like to get that information.
Sure.
Love that
want to stay right on
information.
top
We
of
love
it.
your
But-
pictures. We
and-
love your stories.
Great. Excellent. We have 160 seconds. Any closing comment, madam?
I'm just very excited for everything that's up and coming. I think it's fabulous. We
Great.
need the information.
I'm
Thank you
happy
for-
to hear the aliens are friendly.
Thank you for
That
being
makes me
here.
feel good.
Thank you. Listen, this is Russ Johnson. Thank you very much for being on the program. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place at 1470 a.m. right here in Boca Raton. Thank you.
Good evening.
And good night.